Hi there. I'm so glad that you're here today. Jesus has an awesome word for us on love today. So let's acknowledge him. Jesus, we thank you for teaching us, for giving us the revelation knowledge that we need to walk through that narrow gate and to meet you. We love you and praise you and give you all the glory. So Jesus wants me to tell you that without love, nothing's going to work out in your life. Maybe you're wondering why things aren't working, why all these bad things keep happening to you. And it's because of that law. The most important command is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. And when you love him, you're going to care about him. It's a relationship where he cares about you and you care about him. And if you don't do that law, then nothing's going to work out for you. Remember, he said, not everyone who calls me Lord will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but those who do the will of the Father. And so we need to love him by getting to know him. We'll fall in love with him, and then we're going to care about what he cares about. Teacher, which is the command in law that is greatest? And Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And so when we love him with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind, and we care about what he cares about, then we're going to care about others. And when we're not doing that, we're not even going to hear God, because Corinthians says we're just a sounding gong. If we don't love, we're just a sounding gong. It's the most important thing. And it's a thing that is actually missed the most. And you know, the world, they think that they know what love is. But God's kind of love is so different than the world. There's no conditions. No matter what is done to us, we love. We don't get offended. We learn to love his way. We learn to love his way. And there is not a love like his love. Because unconditional love means there's no limits. He loves anyway. And so if we don't follow that command, we can't live in his kingdom with him. If we don't follow that command, he doesn't hear us. We're just a sounding gong. And as well, then we can't hear him. But if you go to him and say, correct me, teach me, I want to do your will, then he'll teach you and he'll show you where you're not loving. He's going to grow you up to the place where you're going to get to that place where you're not offended and you understand his law, and he just grows you to that place where you can handle life in a loving, kind, sympathetic, compassionate way. Instead of slashing back at someone, you can love them. When God loves you, you learn his kind of love. He's compassionate, understanding. He doesn't anger easily. He's emotional and caring. And he's asking us to grow up to that place where everything he has promised can happen for you. Because without that, nothing can happen. Nothing can happen unless you love. The blessings he promises won't happen unless you love, unless you care, unless you're following his law. And we're not going to be able to say, but Lord, I did this, I did that. If you haven't loved, you've broken the most important command. Loving the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. Because if you love him with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, you're going to care about what he cares about. You're going to care about that person. You're not going to walk by that person in need. You're just going to do things the way Jesus would do them. You would say and do what your Father will say and do. And of course, that doesn't happen without knowing Jesus and falling in love with him. You can't do it without him. It's only him. It's Jesus that grows you to that place. But you have to be willing. If you refuse to love, you're not willing. And then again, there's getting hurt. And he grows you up to that place where you can forgive. And even to the place, higher and higher levels of maturity, where you get to the place where you don't even resent that person. You just automatically know, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And so Jesus is asking of that of us today. He's coming and he's asking us to be willing and obedient to him. Willing and obedient. Yes, Lord, I'm going to love. And then you're going to start hearing him. When you're willing, you're going to hear him. You're going to hear him correct you. And he's going to teach you through just your daily life. He's going to teach you. You're going to hear him. You're going to be following after the Spirit. You're going to see what you couldn't see before because you're willing. Because you're finally caring about what he cares about. And it takes time. It takes time to grow up and get to that place. And we don't have much time. And so Jesus is reaching out to us. He's saying, come on, let me show you a better way. Most people are so convinced they understand love. But if you understand love, then you also understand that you always don't feel that love at first, until you decide you're going to obey Jesus. Then you start having the compassion he has. He fills you with compassion for a person that you couldn't deal with before. He fills you with a love for them that you didn't have before because you made that decision. He does the supernatural miracle on the inside of you so that you can love like he loves. And so that it's not about you, which is really the bottom line. It's not about you. Jesus didn't get on the cross for himself. God didn't give him his son for himself. He gave his son for you because he loves you. And Jesus laid down his life for you. And so now he's asking us to lay down our life for him. There's people that are lost, and because we don't love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind, we don't care. Many don't care. They only care about themselves. It doesn't matter to them. And those same people will say they're ready for Jesus. But without love, you're nothing. 1 Corinthians 13. Without love, you're just a sounding gong. You're not heard. You're just a noise. 1 Corinthians 13. If I can speak in tongues of men and angels, but I have not love, that reasoning, intentional, spiritual devotion, such as inspired by God's love for and in us, I'm only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers, the gift of interpreting the divine will and purpose, and I understand all the secret truths and mysteries and possess all knowledge, and I have sufficient faith, so I can move mountains, but I have not love, God's love in me, I'm nothing, a useless nobody. Even if I give everything I have to the poor, and I surrender my body to be burned, in order that I may glory, but I have not love, God's love in me, I gain nothing. Love endures long, is patient and kind. Love never is envious or boils over with jealousy. It's not boastful or vainglorious. It does not display itself haughtily. It's not conceited, arrogant, or inflated with pride. It's not rude, unmannerly, and it does not act unbecomingly. God's love in us does not insist on its own rights or its own way, for it's not self-seeking, it's not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account to all the evil done to it, and it pays no attention to suffered wrong. It does not rejoice in injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes. It's ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are faithless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. Love never fails, never fades out or becomes obsolete or comes to an end. As for prophecy, the gift of interpreting the divine will and purpose, it will be fulfilled and pass away. As for tongues, they will be destroyed and cease. And as for knowledge, it will pass away. It'll lose its value and be superseded by truth. For the knowledge is fragmentary, incomplete, and imperfect, and prophecy or teaching is fragmentary, incomplete, and imperfect. But when the complete, imperfect, and total comes, the incomplete, imperfect will vanish away, become antiquated, void, and superseded. So, love never fails. You know, this is a place that you grow to when you're seeking God every day. Without doing that, you cannot obtain these qualities. It happens in your relationship with Him. That's why He's saying, hurry, get ready, I'm coming. It's going to take time to grow up. And the enemy, he's going to come and try to stop you. He's going to bring people against you to hurt you and upset you so that you can't do this law if you let him. But if you get up and seek God every day, He's going to teach you and love you so that you can love. You can't love without tasting His love. And so if this was convicting to you, if you could see yourself in any of these situations where you haven't had that fulfillment in your life of that kind of love, it's okay for the moment, but Jesus is saying, move on. Without this love, you can't do anything. I can't send you out if you won't love. I can't anoint you if you won't love. It can't be about you. You have to grow up and give your life away. Give your life away. Give it all up for Jesus. And a lot of people think that's really extravagant to say, well, I have to give up my life. He said, you can't be my disciple if you're not willing to. And how important is it to you to live with Him forever? Love is our motivation. And love supplies that joy and that peace, that rightness, that feeling of rightness in your life. Knowing that you're right with God and He's going to take care of you and protect you. He's going to be there for you. God wants you to know this. He wants you to know this kind of love. And you can't know it until you know Him. And He's going to get you to that point where you just care about what He cares about. It grieves you when you feel Him grieving. To know what He's thinking every day, to get up and get on your knees and know what He's thinking, has to do with your willingness to love, to put Him first, to care about what He cares about. Otherwise, you're not going to know. You need to live on that, to get up every day and know what God is thinking of you and be willing to be corrected. Know what He's feeling, what's grieving Him, what's coming next, what's happening in the spiritual realm. He wants to tell you things to come. He wants to love you. He wants you to hear him. And that can't happen if you won't love, because that's his law. His law is love. You can't live with him if you can't learn his love. It's not okay to not love. It's not okay for it to be about you. But I just want to reiterate that you can't get to that place without him. You can't even understand it or know it without him, without walking through it with him, without him walking you through it. When he loves you and you get a taste of that love and that forgiveness and that kindness, where there is no criticism. I was in heaven with him, and, when you sit with him, you feel that love, you know that love. But I was sitting across the banquet table from him, and I can't explain to you his love, his acceptance. I've never felt it like that from anyone. I can't even explain to you. It just took over my whole being to be able to see him and to be loved at the same time, to see him look in my eyes and show me how much he loves me. It was amazing. So you got to get to know him. He's coming, and he said nothing's going to work out for you until you learn how to love. All those things that aren't working out in your life are because you haven't learned that love, and he wants to teach you. Let's acknowledge him. Jesus, we commit to you. We submit to your way. We heed your voice. We're willing to heed your voice. You said you're knocking at the door of our heart. And if we heed your voice, you're going to come and live on the inside of us. And so we're ready. We're ready. We know time is short. We know the time is short. Help us to get ready. Help us to understand. Thank you for showing us where we're at and what we need to learn. I hear the Lord saying, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. As you let me love you, you will be able to love. But you have to come to me. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force himself on you. And so he's saying, come on, let me love you. Let me teach you love. If you said that prayer, then I would sure like to know. If you think that you already said a prayer of salvation and that's all you had to do, that's not all you have to do, as you learned here today. You have to be a part of his life. And he wants you to know that. Be a part of his life. Care about what he cares about. Get up every day and find out what he's thinking by being willing to love. Thanks so much for listening today. God bless you.